Hello and welcome to another Lumberg project video. Today we're doing an intro to chemistry review for any high school or even college student that has to know some chemistry. So I guess the first thing we're going to talk about is atoms, the major building blocks of every element and every compound in the chemistry world. So the atoms build up and make the elements, and these elements build these compounds, right? So you have an element like aluminum, which is the symbol Al. You have carbon, which has the symbol C, and you have the hydrogen, which has the symbol H, right? So you have lithium, that also has like one valence electron, which we'll get into later. So these are just the different names of different elements. They have the shorthand notation because that's how you identify them, because some of the same letters. So the first thing we're going to talk about is valence electrons. Now, a lot of times in chem, you'll have a periodic table. So lithium would have one valence electron, which you can just draw like with a dot. Carbon has 4, and one of the rules you want to do with carbon is that you don't want to do something like this, where you have all 4 on one side, because actually what happens is that before it fills, it can make a pair, it has to go around the atom completely. That's just a rule to know, which goes along with electron diagrams. But using these valence electron shells, you can actually predict what a compound would look like. One compound that people know, which is made up of many atoms, that is made up of these atoms, which make elements, is water, which a lot of people know as H2O, right? So this is a compound that can be used using a Lewis, it's called a Lewis dot diagram formula, which represents the valence electron. So you have H, you have O, H, which has 1 electron, and then another H, right? So if you draw this out, that's what it's going to look like. We'll draw the valence electrons later, but H has 1 valence electron. So if I draw it out like this, 1, 2, 3, well, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. You're going to see that, and then H has 1, right? 1 valence electron. You want to follow something called the octet rule when drawing these, which means that the oxygen here would have 8 total electrons, and the hydrogens would have 2, right? So if you bond this, the oxygen would look something more like this, 2, which brings it to 6, and then 2 because of the hydrogen, right? Now these 2 here, we erase these now, these 2 become a bond. So what you're left with is 4. So you have O, 1, 2, 3, 4, and H, and another H, which gets you the diagram. I know it's a little slanted, but that's, so if we go back to our drawing now, we know there's 4 valence electrons. So that satisfies the octet rule that allows us to get that.